YouTube and the Axis Allies community. This is the Plastic Commando coming to you today from deep behind enemy lines. And I have finally been able to get some time out of work for a few days to actually get this big map of mine out on the table and set it up for a game, which is going to be a solo game, and I'm happy to be able to get this done finally. Which is going to include certainly the out-of-box rules, but a few additions of the house rules, which I have worked on, and I've got more in the pike in terms of house rules. But for today's game, I'm going to actually be focusing on the house rules, which I have already previously done a few videos on and then implemented a few times myself in games. And so the house rules that's going to be included today is going to be machine guns, poison gas, the use of trucks, and then finally the use of hospitals and ambulances. And so this particular game is going to entail those four additional house rules. And I will say from the outset, like I said, I've got other house rules which I'm working on. I just need to spend some more time and refine those a little bit, do some play testing. But this game today that I'm bringing to you guys is in no way a finished product. I mean, this is kind of a task that I've undertaken since I got the original 1914 Axis and Allies, and like many people was disappointed with the contents of the game and just felt like there should be much more to it. But I anticipate the house rules continuing to evolve. The games will continue to evolve ultimately until we get to a point of satisfaction of just the type of house rules that we want to use to basically, finalize the game. And the custom map, which I have shown previously, which I've got out on the table before me here. Of course, this is the map that Lettow-Vorbeck in the Axis and Allies community had put together. It's it's a duplicate of the out-of-box map from Axis and Allies, with the exceptions of we've got the logo that's been taken off of the Sahara. We've got the naval bases icons, which were removed. And, in discussions with Lettow-Vorbeck, he likes basically more of a clean map. And I tend to concur because with the use of house rules, also with the love of the acrylic markers that Historical Board Game sells. I like to be able to basically position the markers on the game map where I like to have them, as opposed to having a designer go ahead and put those down. So with this extra large map, it has certainly given me the ability to accommodate my use of house rules. And also, in addition, and I'm going to go around the map, we're going to do an overview of the game map, the way it's set up. But, again, as in a more recent video, in addition to all the out-of-box game pieces we have set up, we've also got the neutral nations that will be a part of this game as well. And they are already set up, but given their numerical values in each of their territories. So when those neutral nations and those minor aligned powers are brought to bear, the units will automatically already be on the game map. So just going to do an overview of the map real quick. And of course, I like the markers from Historical Board Gaming for the sea mines. Really like those a lot, even before I even started doing customizations, because when I would play this game, frankly, several times I would forget that there was actually sea mines in naval base zones. And of course, over here we've got again one of my favorite house rules, German East Africa, with Major General Paul von Lettow-Vorbeck, as well as the cruiser, the Königsberg, right off the coast. All right, and here we've got Italy, and again, all of these game pieces, again, as you've seen in previous videos, have all been customized, painted, weathered, and then ultimately sealed with matte varnish. And then those that are appropriate have been decaled, such as we've got the fighter plane here for France. We've got some nice looking decals on the side there. All right. And then over here with England, we've got some historical board gaming custom pieces as well. These are British cruisers that historical board game sells. So what I've done basically is I've mixed and matched various pieces in the game that that again is just sort of part of the customization process, and something that you know, I see pieces that I like and I think, well, you know, that'll look good in the game, and but I still like the out-of-box pieces myself. I know some don't particularly like it. I mean, frankly, you know, I like these battleships, or dreadnoughts, I guess, as they rightfully should be called. And then, of course, here we've got a German battleship. I'll probably use it interchangeably, dreadnought and battleship. You see, I got some nice decals on that one. All of my ships have corresponding country flags. This is a real nice sculpt here. This is a Russian battleship, and this one is it's metal, and this one is from GHQ, and this is part of their World War I series of ships. And I kind of zoom in on this one. Just an excellent sculpt. Of course, GHQ's got some really good sculpts, but you know, like some of their products that they have, you got to be selective of the ones you purchase, I guess, for gameplay, because you know, like some of their tanks, for example, I mean, they're easily bent with the small metal pieces, and this one's not too bad, I guess, if you just handle it appropriately. But man, that is just a cool sculpt. So I like that one quite a bit. And then just to continue on, of course, we've got you know, the out of box setups. Here's Austria-Hungary, and you'll note, like I said earlier, I'm using the house rules of machine guns. The additions to house rules in this game from the startup setup, I should say, is that Austria-Hungary will start with a machine gun unit in Vienna, and then Germany will start also with a machine gun unit in Berlin, and then, of course, you know, as we previously showed over in East Africa with Major General Paul von Lettow-Vorbeck's army. So Germany will actually start with 2 machine gun units as part of the setup, and then Russia will start with a machine gun unit in Moscow. And those are, per my house rules, those are going to be the only 3 countries that have a machine gun on startup. And the basis for that, as I had talked about in a previous video, is that at the beginning of the war, Germany had more machine gun units ready to go at the time of the war than any other country. And that was only followed by Austria-Hungary as well as Russia. The other nations, France, England, and even to the extent of Italy, they frankly never really saw the value of machine guns. And so when the war broke out, their armies were not incorporated with machine gun units, as was in Germany, Austria-Hungary. So because of that, I'm given 2 starting units for Germany. Again, just because of the amount of guns that they had at the beginning. So I think that's a balanced approach. It's historical based, and so therefore I'm going to incorporate that as part of the startup. And then, I guess lastly, as we zoom in across the board, got again another minor aligned nation there of Saudi Arabia. Of course, we got Turkey, there's Iran, and stuck in the middle, Persia, I should say. And then we've got India over there ready to go, ready to get them troops into action against the Ottomans. All right. And then I'm going to show you the remainder of the setup real quick. All right, and here's my IPC tracker that I just finished and had a video on. Got it ready to go. It looks great for the game. And you may have seen in my original ambulance and hospital house rule video, I had a working chart that I was using for the hospital chart and the ability to again put injured casualties within the hospital. It was just frankly, I just printed it off on copy paper, but I have since actually refined it and had it custom printed out like I did my IPC chart. And you'll see also this is it's on styrene, same as my IPC chart was. And got a few graphics here. We got a field ambulance, motor ambulance. Got a very sexy nurse that I'm sure anybody that had went to the hospital after suffering major casualties or major injuries rather as a casualty would have welcomed the sight of a pretty nurse. And so this is my hospital chart. And then as we pan over here, still I'm going to be redoing the battle board, and I'm still using the out-of-box version, but for the type of house rules that I'm using, it's still acceptable. But again, that's something I'm going to be redoing in the future. And of course, here we've got the money for all the different powers. Of course, this is HPG money, and this here is the nerve center of the game. Got all the dice, chips. Of course, I share that with the U.S. And then here we've got a ton of World War I markers, which I'm going to be using for this game, and also some that perhaps are going to be utilized in future house rules. And then finally, we've got the big stack of miniatures. So, okay, folks, I think it's game time. Let's get this round started. All right, we are in round 1. And as such, Austria-Hungary will go ahead and purchase units. And of course, Austria-Hungary, they start out with 26 IPC. And for their purchase, we're going to be purchasing 2 artillery, 3 infantry, and 1 cruiser for a total of 26 IPC. Now for the movement. Zoom in here. I may end up having to set the tripod up, but I'm going to see what I can accomplish with one hand. We'll see how this goes before I knock over all the pieces. Okay, so we've got movement phase. Budapest. Of course, as the out-of-box rules state, we'll be attacking Serbia initially. There's no way of getting around that. And we are going to move in 2 artillery. I think we can see that. And 12 infantry. Just so you know, I'm using custom chips. I never liked the chips that actually came in this game whatsoever. White, of course, is 1. Red, 5, typical. My blue chips are 10. And so, just so in case you guys are wondering. Okay. So, first movement will be into Serbia. And second movement, we are moving our machine gun unit into Trieste. To bolster a defense in case Italy decides to start a brave move and attack us. And then we are going to move 12 infantry up to Galicia. One more artillery. And then the remaining artillery in Vienna, we're actually going to move that also, get it on camera here, also in Trieste. And then, well, that's the advantage of having a nice custom map is larger. But when it's 4 feet in width, you got to be very careful when you got pieces right on the edge. So we'll see if we can do this properly. We are moving 2 more artillery into Tyrolia, along with 6 infantry from Bohemia as well. And I believe that is it for movement. And then, of course, we're going to be doing the 1 combat. And we'll go over here and get the dice ready. All right, got my guys on the battle board. You know, this game, you know, it's not really meant to put the pieces on the battle board, but I'm kind of old school. I would rather do that than put a bunch of dice on there that looks kind of bland. So I like to go ahead and move my pieces over to the board. And we are ready to get some rolling. There's no issue with air supremacy. So we've got, we'll go ahead and row for our 2 artillery. And we've got a 4 and a 1. So there's 1 hit. Okay, and then we've got, as indicated, and I broke up the chips, we've got 11 infantry. Okay. All right, 11 infantry. And that is we're looking for 2 or less. So there's a hit. There's a hit. 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 Get my big hand out of the way. Knocking them out. That's it. So we got 5 hits on that one. Okay. All right. 6 hits, actually 7 total. So obviously that's taken care of Serbia on the first round of combat. Now Serbia's got a defender's role. And we'll go ahead and take care of that. Just so you know too, guys, I'm not going to do this for every single country. What I'm going to do basically is just kind of go through the entire game, including rolling the dice. Perhaps in the first round at least, but then focus more on as we get into the house rules with use of machine guns and poison gas. And by the way, if I hadn't said earlier, poison gas is not entered until the second round of play. But just for the first few rounds to kind of get into the motion and swing of things, I'm going to do traditional dice roll. All right, so we've got 3 infantry, 1 artillery for Serbia, all of which 3 or less. And they have scored 3 hits. So we've got 3 hits. We'll take 3 infantry out. And that's it. Austria-Hungary is now in charge of Serbia. Okay. All right. We've got full control of Serbia. Got our units moved in. Now it is place our new units on the board and collect our income. Get the 2 artillery also in Vienna. And then finally, we had purchased a cruiser. And we're going to add that to our fleet in the Med. And since we conquered Serbia, that bumps up our income from 26 to 28 IPC. And that will conclude the round for Austria-Hungary. All right, we are at Russia's turn, and they've got 25 IPC, as we see here in cash. And then what Russia is going to purchase, it's going to be 3 artillery, 1 infantry, 1 machine gun unit, and 1 fighter, all totaling 25 IPC. And for Russia's turn this time, it's going to be a bit conservative. We've only got really 1 target, and we're going to go ahead and move some troops in and align the minor power of Romania and go ahead and take advantage of those troops waiting for us. Okay. And let's just go ahead and back the camera out here a little bit. Go ahead and take care of that. Take this objective off. Okay. All right. And the forces in Ukraine are actually going to move in. I'm going to leave the artillery, just the infantry, and we'll take care of that in a second. We're not going to leave the artillery there by themselves anyway. So what we've got here is we've got a force of 1 Romanian artillery, 6 infantry, and then 6 Russian infantry as well. And again, as I indicated, I'm playing this with my own custom neutrals. So rather than just change out to the powers, the major powers that are taking advantage of these troops, we're going to leave the troops in place. But this will be a Russian territory that we're going to add to the IPC. And with this one being 3 IPC, we're going to go ahead and move up 1, 2, 3, and we're right there with Austria-Hungary. Okay. All right. Final movements. There'll be no combat, but we got to finish our movements anyway. We're going to bolster the forces in Poland. Use my handy little pointer here so I don't have to reach across the table and knock a bunch of stuff over. We'll see how this works out. So we're going to add some forces into Poland. Including 2 more artillery. And of course I knocked over Russian infantry, which I will take advantage of here in a second. We'll get him set up. And we're going to move 2 infantry artillery into Belarus, excuse me. We're going to move the machine gun unit also over into Belarus. And the other 6 infantry going to Livonia. Okay. And I think that, let's see, we're going to move in to Tatarstan infantry. That'll go into the Ukraine. We've got 1 artillery unit, which is going south into Kazakhstan. And let's see here. I'm going to move the other ones. And I'll go around to the other side of the board. All right, I've got all the other movements in. Everything's nice and organized. Just make sure we got all the infantry. Yep. So we're finished with the movement phase. Again, no combat. Now we're going to go ahead and place the units that we purchased. So we got a fighter that's going to Moscow, 3 artillery, 1 infantry, and then finally the 1 machine gun unit. There we go. And we'll collect income, and that's going to do it for Russia's turn. Then we're going to move on to Germany. Round 1, Germany. We're going to go ahead and make our purchases. Germany has 35 IPC, which we are going to purchase 4 infantry, 4 artillery, 1 machine gun unit, and then finally 1 truck. And just as a reminder, trucks are 4 IPC per house rule, machine gun 4 IPC per house rule, and the trucks, they are allowed to transport 1 infantry and tow 1 artillery with a movement of 2 spaces. So again, just as a reminder on that. So, all right, we are going to make our movements for Germany. All right, Germany has 3 targets this round. They'll be attacking Poland, moving 6 infantry, 3 artillery from Silesia, the same from Prussia, and then in addition, fighter plane will be attacking 1, 2, which will give us air superiority. And secondly, We're going to be moving units to take Holland. We'll be moving 3 infantry, actually with the border here, 3 infantry into Holland from Kiel, 4 artillery, and then also we're going to back this up with another 6 infantry from neighboring Ruhr, and then we're going to see if we can take out the British North Fleet. We're going to move in 2 submarines from neighboring sea zone number 5, 2 cruisers, and a battleship, sea zone 10. Of course, we'll have to make those rolls for the sea mines. And then over here, submarines in sea zone 7. We're just going to make general movements. We're going to go 2 spaces. Sea zone 22. And then we'll move over to Africa. All right, we're going to move 1 Schutztruppe unit from Togoland to Nigeria. It'll be uncontested. And then lastly, the 1 unit from Cameroon to Belgian Congo, again uncontested. And since this is a colony of Belgium, there will be no standing army that will develop. So we'll just we'll walk in and take this without conflict. So let's get on. And actually, before we get to the action, I don't want to forget the cruiser Königsberg over here off the coast of German East Africa. We are going to go ahead and move 2 spaces to sea zone 24 so as not to perhaps incur the wrath of the British fleet that can easily move 2 spaces. So we are going to go around the Horn of Africa 2 spaces, and we'll prepare for another mission with that particular cruiser. All right, Germany's first move into Holland. Again, we've got 9 infantry, 4 artillery versus 3 infantry and 1 artillery. So we're going to roll for German artillery first, 9, 2 or less. And looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, that'll take care of them. And then we've got for the neutrals, we've got 4, 3 or less. And actually that one was out there. They got 1 hit. So we'll take an infantry away, and Germany has now captured Holland. All right, Germany into Poland. And of course we've got air supremacy, and we've promoted our 6 artillery, same as 6 of the infantry, to 3 or less. Then we've got 2 or less, 6 infantry. We're going to go ahead and roll for the fighter to strafe the enemy positions, 2 or less. And got a 1. Okay, we'll do 6 infantry at 2 or less. And we've got a hit 1, 2. Okay. And then the 6 infantry at 3 or less. One, 2, 2 more hits looks like. Okay, and then finally we're going to do the 6 artillery, and that's at 4 or less. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. Okay. So we got 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. total. There's 6 infantry right there. 7, 8, 9. Okay. All right. And now we are going to roll for Russia. Okay. And we'll be rolling for 9 infantry at 3 or less. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, that's it. All right, and then also, let's see, we got 4 hits. Okay, and we'll be doing 6 artillery for Russia, and that's also at 3 or less. 2, so like a total of 3 more. All right, so looks like this battle is going to stay contested, and we'll go ahead and return these back to the map. On to the Battle of the North Sea. We are going to go ahead and roll for Germany. Before we do that, though, we got to roll for the sea mines, and we've got a total of 5 attacking ships. And sea mines roll on a 1. Okay, looks like we managed to strike 1 mine. Now that sucks. So we'll go ahead and destroy this submarine. Okay. Now we are going to proceed with combat with the submarine at 2 or less. And missed. Okay, then we've got 2 cruisers, 3 or less. Boy, this is just getting even better. All right, and a battleship at 4 or less. Okay, we did manage to get 1 hit, looks like. All right, and the Brits, they will tank a cruiser. Okay, so now let's see if we can actually survive the battle. So, Brits are going to return fire with their 2 cruisers, 3 or less. And, yeah, they hit big time. So, we're going to, let's see, we'll take out this sub. And we're going to take a damage on our battleship, actually. Okay. And then Brits going to row for their battleship. And they missed. Okay. Alright, so we'll remove the British cruiser. And we will continue the attack. So we're going to roll for 2 cruisers. 3 or less. Excellent. We got 2 hits. So there is, there's 1, and then we will damage the battleship, okay? And then now we've got to roll for our battleship, and we missed, okay? All right. So the Brits, they are going to roll for their cruiser, 3 or less, and they hit. Okay, so we will actually remove a cruiser. All right, and then they're going to roll for their damaged battleship, 4 or less, and they miss. Okay, so we're sinking the British cruiser, and we will continue to attack. All right, cruiser, 3 or less, miss. German battleship, 4 or less, All right, Brits sink. Before they go into water, though, they managed to get a parting shot off, 4 or less, which they hit, sinking our cruiser. Well, that went down to the wire. I was getting worried for a minute. All right. And of course, no bias on Germany here. Okay. All right. So we're going to move in, and then we automatically sink the transport. So this battle is over, even though we are damaged, but still looks like we come out ahead. Okay, we're going to make the remainder of the moves. Go ahead and put the mobilized units on the board, readjust the IPC chart and the money, and then it'll be on to the next round, the next turn. Okay, France's turn starts at 24 IPC, and France has elected to purchase 4 artillery, as well as to build a hospital and purchase an ambulance for a total of 24 IPC. France is going to next. We're going to move in and align Belgium, which we will pick up the Belgian troops. That'll now be under control of the British, and we'll have a marker put on there just in a second and adjust the IPC tracker. And then remaining moves, we are moving forces up from Burgundy to help bolster the forces in Lorraine. And then we're moving the forces also from Paris upwards. And then we're moving the fighter as well into Belgium. And then the lonely fellow on the coast here in Brest, we're actually going to move to Picardy. And Bordeaux will also move up. And then additional movements. French battleship and transport will move to Sea Zone 7. In addition, the French fleet in Sea Zone 16 will be moving 2 spaces, 14 up to 7 as well. And then they will be joining the fleet in Sea Zone 7. Okay. And then over here in Africa, we've got the one unit in French West Africa. He is moving to the Gold Coast, which is governed by Britain. Of course, Allied. And as well, the infantry unit in Morocco will move to French West Africa, as will the force unit in Algeria will move to Morocco. And then finally, the unit in Tunisia is actually going to move to neighboring and Allied Libya under the Italians. And that will be the movements for France. There'll be no combat this round, so we're going to finish up this move. We'll mobilize our units, adjust the IPC chart, and collect income. All right, one correction. I ended up having to leave 1 infantry unit in Paris because I purchased 4 artillery. So we left 1 there in Paris. We put the ambulance that we mobilized, and again, just so you know, on the house rule for hospitals, you can, as I had talked about in my previous video, you can put the hospital, since you're building it, you can put it in any territory that is your own, that you own outright. You can't build one for, one of your allied nations, but you can build it in any province. It doesn't have to just be built in Paris. So I just wanted to make that point clarification. And of course, we've added the marker to Belgium and adjusted the IPC tracker, and now it's on to Great Britain. All right, we're at Britain's turn, round one. Britain starts the game with 30 IPC, and they have elected to purchase one battleship, Dreadnought, 2 transports, and 1 machine gun infantry unit for a total of 28 IPC. So they'll have 2 IPC left over for next turn. All right, for Britain's moves, we've got a target objective. We're going to go into Afghanistan from India. And we are going to take that over for an IPC. And we will leave 1 unit here. Okay. All right. And then next move, transport. We're going to load 2 infantry on the transport, and they will be dropped off into British East Africa, and accompanying the transport be a battleship and cruiser. So leaving C-Zone 29, going to 26, and then lastly, forces in Egypt will be moving into Transjordan, and we will see if we can expel the Ottomans from Transjordan. And then the 2 British ships for now will actually back up into C-Zone 17 and merge with the Italian fleet. And I believe that will be all of the movements. And so now we will go to the battle board. All right, got the units on the battle board. Going into Afghanistan, we've got 2 attacking artillery, 2 infantry that are advanced to a 3 or less, and then the remainder will be 2 or less. We're going to go ahead and do the 2 or less infantry, and that would be a hit. And then the 3 or less infantry, got him. All right, and then the Afghanis, they will roll 2, 3 or less. And we lost 1 infantry. All right, that's it for that one. Now bring on the next contestants. All right, British forces moving into Transjordan. We've got 2 artillery. We've advanced 2 infantry to 3 or less with artillery support. And then we will have a remainder of 4 units at 2 or less. So we're going to do the 4 2 or less. And looks like we got the 1, okay, and 2 infantry 3 or less. Got 2 there. Excuse me. That's enough to do the job. So we've got 3 or less from the Ottomans in defense. and they got 2 hits. All right, so the Brits, they will take a loss in 2 infantry, and they have now taken Transjordan. All right, the final move for Britain. Technically, should have done this, I guess, before combat, but again, gamer's choice. It doesn't change the balance of the game whatsoever. It's just maybe a technicality. In any event, we've got a pretty substantial force right now hanging out in East Africa, rather. All right. Then we've got the markers on Transjordan. We've got that firmly in our possessions. We've got Afghanistan as well. And then that brings Britain's IPC to 31. Technically should have been 32, but again we lost Nigeria to the Germans earlier. So we've got 31 IPC for the next round. Of course we've got the 2 left over as well, which will help. So now time to place units. We're placing the machine gun infantry unit here in Bombay, India. And then the ships previously purchased are in London. So we'll find out exactly what that German battleship's going to do on the next round. So that'll do it for Great Britain, first round. Now off to the Ottomans. All right, we're at the Ottomans' turn, and they start with, well, they started at 16. They lost 1 when they lost Transjordan, but we've got 16 IPC to spend, and the Ottomans have elected to purchase 2 infantry, 1 machine gun infantry unit, and 1 fighter. I wanted to highlight that fighter. Check out them decals all lit up there. Got that crescent moon on the tail rudder. Ready to see some action. There'll be no particular combat for the Ottomans this round, though. They are going to advance into Bulgaria and pick up the Bulgarian troops. So we're going to move 6 infantry into Bulgaria, and as indicated, we'll pick these troops up as well as a IPC of 3, which will definitely help their economy. And we'll of course put our marker on there and adjust the IPCs. But lastly, we're going to shift a few troops around. We're going to move 2 artillery into Smyrna, as well as the 6 infantry into the Syrian desert, and an artillery unit. And then we're going to swap places actually with the unit in Syria to go to Ankara, and the units of Mesopotamia, they will remain the same. And I believe that will be it for the Ottomans. We'll collect the money. Actually, I meant to show the placement of units. Of course, we've got 2 infantry there in Constantinople, along with the fighter and machine gun infantry unit. And so I guess if the Brits or Italians decide to move on into Constantinople, I guess the Ottomans will have to pull that machine gun out and Gallipoli their ass. But we will find out. On to the next power. All right, Italy's turn, round 1. This will be a short move for Italy, short round. We've got whopping 14 IPC to start out with, as you see. And Italy has opted to purchase a machine gun infantry unit, 1 infantry unit, and then 1 fighter. And then that'll be 13 IPC. There'll be 1 IPC left over. And then moving over here to the map, going to make some movements. Italy's infantry unit in Somaliland is going to join and be part of a multinational force in British East Africa as a counterbalance to German East Africa. And then the 2 Italian units in Libya are coming over to Egypt along with their artillery unit. Okay, and then let's see, we go on to mainland Italy, and this is basically just shuffling troops around, looks like, which is kind of par for the course, I guess, for Italy round 1. As you see, we've got decent sized force up here in Venice, and we're going to add to that from the forces in Piedmont, along with the infantry. So we've got a total of 12 infantry and 4 artillery now placed in Venice. The 1 infantry in Tuscany will also move up to join. And then we've got 1 unit in Rome, in Naples. So actually seeing, I thought there was there's a border. 1 unit is going to go to Tuscany as well. We're going to move. I'll have to get some chips. We've got 6 infantry here in Rome. We're going to split that into 3, and we'll move 3 up here in Tuscany as well. I'll take care of that off the map, and then we'll adjust the IPC, and we'll be right back. All right. So we've got the placed units, which actually we'll get to the splitting of the troops there, showed earlier. So we're going to be sending 3 troops into Tuscany, and like I said, the individual from Naples, there we go, he joined. So we'll be leaving 3 infantry in Rome, and the artillery as well is going to Tuscany. So we'll have 3 infantry left, and then we're going to place our newly purchased units. One advantage of if I can grab the marker, the machine gun units as well, and one reason I like pairing with an infantry unit is because you have to be able to keep an infantry unit, as you know, with an army and of artillery. So if you don't happen to have a regular infantry unit that will be in a territory with, say, artillery or other equipment, machine gun infantry unit can suffice. So it does count as a infantry unit to be paired with other artillery and such for the the infantry rule that you have to have an infantry unit with other combined units. So just thought I would throw that out there. That's again one reason I like doing that. So okay, I said earlier there is no adjustment to the IPC. Italy did not gain any, did not lose any as well. So I think that will do it for Italy, and we are now on to the USA. All right, we are at turn USA, which will be the end of round 1 of this game. And the USA, they start off with 20 IPC, okay, and have elected to purchase 3 transports with leftover of 2 IPC for the following round. And then I don't think that there's going to be any adjustments whatsoever with the ships. In fact, I know that, so we will go ahead and play. All right, we've got the transports right there off the coast of Washington, ready to go. And of course, this is actually the first time I believe we've looked at the U.S. Since the opening of the game. Of course, these are the standard units that do come with the setup. And I didn't mention earlier, but part of my changing of house rules, the U.S. Will start with an ambulance. And along with the hospital and ambulance house rules, you'll note that I indicated that the U.S. cannot build a hospital because hospitals are relegated to mainland theaters of war, okay? And then no troop can then come across the ocean, say if the U.S. built a hospital. But that does not keep them from building motorized ambulances, okay? And that's something that, in fact, historically the U.S. did. They supplied, a fleet of Model T Ford ambulances to Europe. So they do start off with one, and that'll be up to the U.S. whether or not they want to transport that over when they get into the war. But it is available. So just thought I'd throw that out there. Okay. I think this is it. This is going to bring us to an end of round 1 of Axis Allies World War I 1914. And it's been fun. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We're going to go ahead and end this, and we will post round 2 next. Take care. This is Plastic Commando. Over and out.